Thank you for joining us for office hours. This is really meant to be super informal. We're going to give a brief overview on the SBIR STTR program and then the Energizing Rural Communities program. And then after that, really just kind of what we did, walking in one-on-one, chatting about opportunities, answering any questions that folks may have. So the purpose of this presentation is going to be to talk about the SBIR STTR programs and then briefly go over the Energizing Rural Communities Prize. So the SBIR program, or the Small Business Innovation Research Program, or the STTR program, the Small Business Technology Transfer Program, are meant to meet federal R&D needs by providing research dollars to small businesses to help move innovative ideas and products closer to marketplace that are going to solve our nation's questions, problems, anything that we may have. Additionally, these programs, they look to increase private sector commercialization of innovations derived from this funding. They look to stimulate technological innovation, and they look to foster and encourage participation in innovation and entrepreneurship by socially and economically disadvantaged persons. And then the STTR program is just an extension of that, where they're looking to transfer technology out of research labs and into the marketplace. The SBIR STTR program is a gated program, so there's 3 different phases to it. Typically, folks, when they are applying for their first grant or putting together their first proposal, they're in phase 0. And that's kind of where FAST comes in FAST. 43 states and territories have a FAST program now, but with FAST, the Federal and State Technology Partnership Program, we help small businesses in that stage 0 phase find a match within SBIR STTR and then help write those or review those proposals that small businesses are writing. We also, yes.
Demonstrated it for the Aberdeen program with the Futures Command General Officer. And then I followed on with a 3-star and his team coming down from Fort Benning, Georgia, North Carolina in August. And what they want to do is baseline, show capability again, and then baseline requirement. And you know what the next steps are. So how can the SBIR program help a team like us at this junction?
Yeah, of course. So a question was just asked, and the question is focused on, let's say that a small business or a technology is past the feasibility stage, let's say, and it's been financed on their own and they have a prototype. How can they use SBIR STTR to further their product or to go to further to marketplace? So not all agencies are going to be a match. Some agencies, they really want folks to go through that phase 1 feasibility testing, then develop a prototype during phase 2. They might not.
Sort of finding a match.
Yes.
That's good to know.
Yes, of course.
I didn't know that.
Oh yes, of course. Yes. And as you were describing that, there is this opportunity in Department of Defense called Commercial Solutions Opportunity. That opportunity allows small businesses to have a product that is on a higher TRL level or a higher technology readiness level, and to find a match within the Air Force or the Space Force. They're the only ones that are active right now, but this will eventually be active within all of DoD and their service components. But right now, Air Force and Space Force allow small businesses to say, hey, we have a product. We're going to go into phase 1 and look for a customer for that product, a Space Force or Air Force specific customer and end user. Then they spend that first 3 months finding that customer and signing a customer memorandum or getting one signed. Then for phase 2, it's a little bit of a longer period of performance, a little bit of more money, and the small business works with their customer and really takes that product and makes it fit that niche that they found within that Air Force or Space Force customer.
Okay, my next question then, as we go through this process and give me 10 pieces of silver, how do I protect intellectual property? My developer, she's not going to release his IP, period. And we have sometimes gone through all of this work then all the time travel, et cetera, in and out of various agencies as well. And he thinks, like I think, 7 to 10 years out. Okay. So,
Well, that is, I think that's worth a longer conversation, and since we have some folks online, maybe we can just get through this presentation and then we can have office hours where we can focus on what you're, because that's what we're here for, is to really help you one-on-one. So if that's okay with you, that would be fantastic.
Awesome.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
I want to get as much insight as I
Exactly.
can, understand the process of this program, because I've heard pros and cons. And I just want to hopefully, you guys can educate, but don't be like.
No,
I hear you.
no. These questions are great, but I think they really deserve a longer conversation and where we can put 100% focus. Those are very, we understand. So,
Absolutely.
Of course.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Like share with you current situation that I'm dealing with, and I need some assistance to move forward here, because what we've developed can save lives. And that's what my concern is, and especially where the country's heading and what we're going, what we're dealing with right now. A lot of folks don't have insights, but I'm more so that she'll go forward.
Exactly.
Okay.
Awesome. Yes, perfect. Awesome. So for the gated program with the SBIR and STTR program, after you go through phase 0 and you've put together an application, you apply for phase 1. All agencies that are participating in the SBIR STTR program have this phase 1 opportunity. And there you really are testing the feasibility of this product, of this innovation, of this idea. Can it be possible in the world? And you don't have to be testing the feasibility of the whole product. You can just choose one piece of it and work on that, or you can tackle the full product as a whole. After phase 1 and a successful phase 1, small businesses will be invited to submit to phase 2. Phase 2 has a longer period of performance. And with that longer period of performance, small businesses are expected to deliver a prototype near the end of that period of performance. Some SBIR and STTR agencies, they have additional phase 2 funding because they know that technologies cannot be developed, or a prototype cannot always be developed in 24 months. After your initial phase 2 or any follow-on phase 2s, a small business goes into phase 3, and phase 3 is that commercialization portion. There usually is no direct funding for this portion. And if you are going after a granting agency, it is up to the small business to find their own customer and end user. If you're going after a contracting agencies, many times the contracting agency will buy that product from you. Here is a list of agencies that are participating in the SBIR and STTR program. All of the agencies in the maroon are SBIR agencies. Any that are in the gray are STTR. STTR agencies just have a higher level of R&D funding. So when any of these SBIR agencies reach that threshold, they also become STTR agencies. Here's a list of all the participating agencies and what they focus on. There really is a fit for everybody, and every single kind of innovation or new innovation that's entering the marketplace. If there's any sort of R&D that needs to be done with your work, SBIR and STTR typically has a match for you. And here is a further explosion of all of the opportunities. So not only are there 12 agencies, for example, if we look at Department of Defense, it has an additional 14 components. If we look at HHS, or the Department of Health and Human Services, they have 24 different NIH centers, and then there's additional agencies like the FDA, the CDC. So again, reiterating, there is opportunities for everyone here. Here are award amounts with ceilings and then period of performances for phase 1 and phase 2. You see that some agencies, they have a range of period of performances, and that is based on the opportunity the small business is going after, or some of the agencies allow the small business to determine their period of performance, like NSF. And then when you are exploring SBIR STTR to see if it's a match for you, look for fast sites within your state. If you're in the state of New Mexico, NMFAS is more than happy to provide you support. If you are looking for a FAST site, we're more than happy to connect you to an additional FAST site. But here are resources that we provide. We provide one-on-one coaching, but the way that I like to describe it always is we listen to the small business and we cater our support to what the needs of the small business are. Awesome. Perfect. And then we're going to jump over to have Kathy chat a little bit about ERC.
Okay, I hope I'm in the camera view and we have in-person folks too. And I just want to reiterate, these slides will be sent to you because some of those exploded slides with all of the funding and period performance and what's being funded, that is a great reference point. And thanks to Melissa for creating those slides and sharing them. This, we're going to pivot a bit because we are working with the Office of Clean Energy Demonstrations. It's a DOE office on a prize that is meant to really help rural and remote communities get into some clean energy. We know that the bigger populations have access because of where they're located, the resources and assets they have. The Office of Clean Energy Demonstrations recognize that rural communities may not have the same access points because they're lacking a way to facilitate relationships that would get them there or funding mechanisms. So this is a cash prize. It is not a grant. If you have any technologies that would fit or you want to help a small community, I would suggest really considering this award. Now, the date it's due is May 24th, but we're here to help you with that as well. Oh, and I went the opposite direction. Oh, yes, sir. The question is if it includes clean water, and that would be something that we could answer during the office hours too, because for example, there has been a community that is looking for energy storage to help generate power for their wastewater. But if it is related to anything that would benefit, highly impact a community, I think we should talk about that so we could hear it. Yeah. Excuse me?
Practice work.
I don't know those words. Very, very soft. Oh, okay. Yeah. So then yeah, you might consider applying for this. So I'm not going to read this over, but really this is, like I said, a way for rural and remote communities with 10,000 inhabitants or fewer to get access to partnerships or financial avenues that would help them meet some of these new energy regulations and reduce the grid, reduce the impact, a monthly utility bill, or, create jobs or create opportunities to have the clean and renewable energy systems put into the communities. This just tells you basically when the submission is due and how they're funding it. So once again, this is a phased award. And so, like I said, the submission date is May 24th at 5 p.m. Eastern. Don't let that make you too nervous because really this, we're going to go over the requirements. It is not something that is very, time consuming like a grant. If you're familiar with writing a grant, this has a little bit more, let's say, easier access to get some Department of Energy funding. So they are looking to award 90 phase 1 awards with 60 going to the partnership track and 30 going to the finance track. If you win the first phase of that award, you will be eligible for the second phase. So that is when you will implement your plan based on what you submitted in phase 1. So those submissions will be due in July. Those dates are forthcoming with winners announced in August of 2024. So you have a year to implement that plan in phase 2. We've been talking about the prize goals. This just kind of further, describes what you could do and gives some examples. And really what is written here might be a really good way to incorporate into your submission. So some of the words you see here, if you are submitting, go ahead and use some of these terms because the reviewers will really It'll, spark their interest and realize that you really understand what you're trying to do with the energy. And I can't emphasize this enough. This really has to show a great impact on rural and remote communities, especially those that have been historically left out or are deemed, disadvantaged. So that's what the Justice 40 priorities are. And we'll be sending the rules along with this presentation, and it really explains that further. This competition is basically open to everyone unless you're federally funded already. So if you're a national lab or if you work for one of the agencies, you can't apply. You can be part of an application, but you cannot be the submitter. So if you are a company, if you're running a nonprofit, if you have, even a community-based organization, a neighborhood association, tribal entities, and schools, and even just individuals, we encourage you to apply. 90 cash awards is a lot of awards. I've not seen this many given in a prize like this, so we really are encouraging a lot of people to apply. Briefly, we're going to go over the 2 tracks. Now, the partner track, this is not an exhaustive list by any means, but these are some of the outcomes that would be a good idea or a good fit. And we've been talking to some communities and they're looking for exactly like this, like, a study with this wastewater plant. They just want to see if it's something that can be done. We've talked to a community that was really looking for offtake on their utilities to save mostly, 80% of their monthly budget. We've seen some coalitions be built and project teams. So that is a great way for partnering. Like I said, this is not an exhaustive list, but this is just to get your brain stimulated to think of how you could take advantage through the partner track. So if you want to submit, this is what is required. And this is all in the rules that will be sent along with this PowerPoint. A cover page, which is basically all the contact information and a few other identifying requirements of 1 summary slide. So if you can, kind of summarize your project in a slide with maybe some images and some bullet points. A 3-minute video pitch, don't let that scare you. This can be done on PowerPoint or a Zoom or even someone's phone. I think the reviewers realize that there are folks who maybe have never applied for DOE funding before that are interested in this. And so it's going to be content. Make sure it's easy to understand and easy to follow. But as far as production quality with, all the fancy bells and whistles, don't let that hold you back, because it would be an opportunity for you to further explain or highlight what is in your narrative, which is a 5,000 word document where you'll be explaining your partnership plan and an evidence of commitment with the community you're working with. You can find really deep dives into this information on these hyperlinked webinars here. The finance track is really designed to find creative ways to help communities find funding for any projects. And the buzzword here is the Inflation Reduction Act. If you have any experience or you're understanding that IRA, this would be a great opportunity to share your knowledge, or maybe think of a program, because there is a lot of tax credits going around with this as they relate to clean energy. Market assessments, follow-on funding, even a request for information to see what it would cost. That is where the finance track comes in. We see this more maybe for financial groups, maybe credit unions, or people with programming that could fulfill this need. Same thing, the cover page, summary slide, a pitch, but with your narrative, the submission will be a project plan for what you would like to do and a financial statement. Once again, here in the hyperlinked areas, you can find a really deep dive into the finance link. There have been several webinars and question and answer sessions related to this prize. So this will be reviewed. It's going to be a multidisciplinary group. So that means industry, customers, community members. So they'll look at the package in total, and it will be scored. There's criterion included in the prize rules that show you how it will be weighted. And then you can kind of, form your submission based on that. So once it's scored, The review panel will make their recommendations to the Department of Energy, and they will make the final call on that. This is really a how-to guide to get you through. Since this is a prize and not a grant, you will be submitting on this platform called HeroX. So you'll have to register, and it's basically a few clicks here and there. And this is a step-by-step guide once you click through to HeroX. And with that, I'd like to let you know, and we'll send out a link. We are also holding office hours to talk about this prize too. A lot of questions have come up, and we're not the only organization holding office hours. We have a few other partners doing this as well. So I look forward to talking with you all more if you have questions, and thanks for your time.
Perfect. And then briefly, if you have technology that focuses on clean energy, we have a clean energy resilience and growth cluster called Surge that is accepting applications. We also are hosting a SBIR Airhead Center SBIR Accelerator or ACSA. It's a 6-week accelerator meant to introduce businesses to SBIR and STTR opportunities. Their businesses will receive personalized proposal development support. If you're interested, you can apply here, and this information will be in that follow-up email. And if you have any additional questions, please feel free to contact Kathy or I. And now we will be starting office hours here in person at Q Station. We will stop the recording here, but I will leave the Zoom room open if there are questions, and y'all can leave them in the chat. It just might take a minute or two for me to get back to them. Awesome. Thank you for joining us.